That said, thanks for this opportunity to present this topic. I am not going to be satisfied with 1 billion. I have no interest in 1 billion. I think by 2030 we should target at least 5 billion exports. And it is possible. So it's not going to be easy, but I'm not interested in easy anyway. So that said, so let me, I just put some numbers together, and these are very lazy. Yesterday evening I did this, but I think we have to get into a lot more granularity. Like Southeast I'm saying, right? I mean, if you look at production cost of an egg in Malaysia is close to 9 rupees, right? Cost of sending an egg from Vizag port to Kuala Lumpur is 26 paisa, right? So even if Andhra farmer gets 5 rupees and whatever it is, you can easily reach an egg for 6 rupees to Malaysia. And again, how many of you don't, I probably don't know, government of Malaysia gives almost 2 rupees subsidy per egg to the producers to sell that egg at 9 rupees. So you can imagine that's a, and when they all want to sell so much to India, high quality products, I think this is where I think EPIDA, I'm sorry, but our global leader, whatever it is, they don't support anyway. See, Oman said something, we got no support from the local embassy, no government. I mean, in some sense, it's good because they want a better quality egg. We should be able to supply. That's not a challenge. There is no problem in supplying a 60-gram egg, right? And we are really underselling ourselves there. If you locally see what is the price that we are sending the egg to there and how much that is being sold, somebody else is making money at our expense, right? So there is no reason for us to send a 52-gram egg. We just doing that because that is how the trader is essentially screwing the farmer by giving him 50 paisa less for that small egg, right? And bad eggs. There is no reason for us to do that. I mean, look at everything else. In India, shrimps are not going because Indian shrimps are low quality. We sell the best quality shrimps around the world. So there is really no challenge to send very high quality eggs from India. So, I mean, if you put together this, I mean, like if you look at then Vietnam, I forget about Vietnam so much. But if you look at Korea, Taiwan, Japan, they all want to sell a lot to India. So at least I think this is what we need to then push. If you look at how much Japan is importing every year, right? There is nothing going from India. They're going from faraway places and all that. So I think if we again really start competing, I'm telling you, nobody in Bangladesh can produce a single egg if India can start sending it from here, right? Now, that's where I think we have to look at what Donald Trump is doing. I'm not expecting Modi ji to do that, but at least kuch to kare, we are promoting our products. So I think that is one of the things I would definitely say. So I'm not going to talk too much because I think Shukla ji has already spoken about some of these things. So again, these are the advantages that we have. We are much shorter. If you see for Brazil, sometimes it takes 1 month for the product to come to, Dubai. And it is 3-4 days for us, right? But then we are not able to, and I don't think anybody can compete with us on labor cost for sure. I don't know how many of you know, like 2 years back, Russia had a major problem because they didn't have people to work in the chicken farms, right? I mean, they really had a major problem when COVID happened and all that. Many people just left, and that's and with the war, I think they've lost quite a few youth also now. So that's an advantage India has and will continue having, and it's a need for us also. So I just wanted to point out this is what an Indian farmer is confronting. Right? A ton of corn today in US for a US farmer or a Brazilian farmer is about 15,000 to 16,000. I don't think I need to tell you what is the cost of corn for us here now. Right? Now, in spite of that, and do I need Indian farmers, do they need it at 15, 16,000? Maybe not. But even if we can get at 20,000, I think we can compete the hell out of it. Export purposes, you should allow us to freely import. We allow this in pharma. We allow this in a lot of other industries, in automobiles and all that. So I think same should be allowed for us. I have a feeling this is something that will make Trump happy too, if he play it smartly. I think, where we can easily, and this is the secret, so this is how we get to 5 billion. I mean, it's not like, I agree, it is not like just because we said it will happen, but we will become cost competitive with them. So I think that is one of the things. The other thing is, sorry, the presentation, it got cut off. I think I didn't prepare it for the right screen. In India, we get 1 year moratorium and 6 year payment. After that, we have to pay back in 6 years. And at a minimum of 5% higher interest rate than any other of the competing countries. Right? While you talk about Brazil is 18% and all that, but for industry, it is not 18%. They get a very, Brazilian government gives a very attractive subsidy. Now, in any other country, again, this was a mistake, there's at least a 3-year moratorium they give. And then 10 years after that for payment, repayment. This itself is a 10% difference in cost of production for a processing plant in India. Can you imagine 10%? And you're trying to transform that industry and you're telling them, you're making them uncompetitive, right? Now, if I have to put a processing plant, for me to run it fully, it will take at least 2-3 years because the market has to be built, right? And in the meantime, my clock start paying the bank, start paying everything and all that. The interest rate, as I said, is high. And I have to make almost 25% margin just to take care of the bank, which is completely foolish, right? Because this plant operates for 30-40 years. Why are you discounting it in 7 years? So this is, I think, something that has to change. So, as I said, halal certification, I think that anyway we have that. I think if some improvements can be done, that's, I don't think, a very complicated thing. I'm sure we can work together with those countries and prepare that. Food standards, of course, are also there, and quality and packaging requirements. These we are aware of, so it's not like anything. So this is what I was proposing, that at least minimum we do, because not only for export, this is what is needed for our country also. Shuklaji said 5 million tons is the chicken production in India. Believe me, it is at least 8.5 million tons. Because we are placing close to 11.5 to 12 crore chicks every week. The Venki's guys are here, they can confirm that. The number is coming from Jain Sahib anyway, so they can't say anything else. So if you put that and then look at how much meat comes out of it at the end of the day, then we are at least at 8.5 million tons. Now, I believe it is more than that, but then forget about it. 5 से 8.5 भी अगर हो गया तो अच्छा number है. So, and from that perspective, if you look, less than 2% of our chicken is processed. This, if we have to go to Viksit Bharat, and not if, sorry, when we go to Viksit Bharat, has to go to 70%. We cannot continue like this. So I think that also has to work for both that, and when that happens, and of course, somebody interesting told me once, who cares for chicken and eggs? Nobody's eating. Of course, I'm trying to change the egg side of it, making people eat more eggs, but the point is you're eating chicken 65, you're eating omelette, you're eating boiled egg, you're eating biryani. You're not eating chicken, you're not eating egg. So, usme, but when that has to happen, that also is what is happening. I mean, look at now in cities. I had read somewhere that an average housewife in US in 1950s used to spend 2.5 hours a day cooking. Today it's come down to 8 minutes. How many of you here tell me is the same is not happening in your houses today? Right? Now with Swiggies and Zomatos and all that, look at how many people are employed in, I believe each one of them has 20-30,000 people just for deliveries. So that's changing in India too, I think. So that is going to change quite dramatically now, for sure, over the next 15-20 years. Lot of pre-prepared food is going to come in, and it is more profitable going to be, and gives you better flexibility also, right? So I think, so this is what I'm proposing, sir. So I don't know how, I mean, of course, we will talk in other platforms also. is that there has to be a minimum 3-year moratorium for setting up new plants. They have to be given 3-year moratorium, and a 10 to 12 years, 12 years at least payback period after that, and a 500, at least a 4 to 5% interest subsidy. In the sense, the interest should come to around 7 to 8%. That is the idea. It's not so much about interest subsidy, but the interest that they should be paying should be about that. Then that will reduce the need for making profit to about 10 to 12%. This is going to give a huge flip to the entire processing market. And I think this is also smarter way of subsidizing or incentivizing rather than giving capital subsidies. Because capital subsidy, I know many of my own people are a little, I don't know what is the right word to use. Of course, I'd never been used to be shy of using those words. But I think we also have been very, very greedy and narrow-minded in asking for capital subsidies, which is not going to help. Believe me, getting a 2-3 crores or 5 crores or 10 crore subsidy in setting up a 100 crore plant is not going to help. This is going to help the industry. And government money is also spread, and more capacity can be created, because capacity has to be created. If tomorrow Hyderabad wants to stop live bird, who's going to supply? Right? Who's going to supply? The entire processing capacity in Hyderabad is probably, out of 10 lakh birds a day needed, is about 2 lakh birds. So that has to come up first, before that has to be done. And also we have to factor in that there are a lot of people depending in these chicken shops and all that. So they also have to be helped to transition away from doing that. Feed cost, as I said, my proposal is definitely this, that we have to get smarter about GM crops. Okay, I'm not going to take up that subject here. It's on different platforms. But at least for exports, I think we have to allow imports with the same conditions you put on pharma and others. I think you should do that. And it is a smart way to, and even for aqua today, if you allow that for them, I think they can easily absorb the 25% tax because it is going to reduce the cost of production. And so that's the thing. And of course, then I'm proposing that we have to have trade delegations participate in, more than having anything here, sir, participate in shows in Dubai, Saudi, everywhere. And Government of India set up proper facility. At least it's a 3-4 year thing. I don't think it's a permanent thing. But at least over the next 4 or 5 years, if we do that, then the potential is definitely there. And of course, export credit guarantees and all that you have spoken about already. Establish this thing. I think that's my last slide. And I think we have to come together to, work on this and look at where are the gaps and what needs to be done. And so I wanted to point out these things, because without addressing these things, there's no point about talking about how do we export. If our farmers if our industry is going to deal with 40 to 60% higher feed cost, how can we compete against the Brazilians and those guys? First point. Second, who will set up a processing plant? I don't think anybody so far in India has made money by setting a processing plant. I myself am a prime example of that. Right? And TK, VH, because Venky's was part of a bigger group, we were all part of it. I remember in 80s, we got the video about the processing plant, Kaisa Aega and all that. And, we used to play everybody who comes home. That was, instead of showing a movie, we were showing that VCR, that video and all that. But those days, it's still the same thing. Till now, that is not. And it is this, to me, this is the problem. Why it is not viable for anybody to set it up? Because you can't ask consumer to pay 20% more because it's a processed chicken. Consumer is not going to will not pay for it. And I think this has to change, because otherwise I'm telling you, this will not. Believe me, in 2040 also we will continue eating live birds in cities, and there's a huge economic loss in that, because all those feathers. Every day I get inquiry from China for 30-40 containers of chicken feet every month. That is, if you collate all of them, then there's so much demand, right? All our chicken feet are going waste right now. There's a huge opportunity. I don't know what they do with it. Every time I go think, Go to China, I think I should try what they eat, but then I forget every time I go there. So, but I really have no idea what they do, but they buying all the chicken feet from Brazil, from US, from Europe, and they want everything from India now. So it's a huge opportunity, right? And we are losing out today. That's all being thrown away, and practically it is becoming a public nuisance. Also, it will become a very big public nuisance in cities. So with those few points, thank you very much for the opportunity. And if anybody has any questions, I think I can answer later.